Administrator, I mentioned earlier the issue regarding insurance, and in fact, I mean, obviously this predated you, but it came out of DOT in 2014. Current insurance limits do not adequately cover catastrophic crashes, mainly because of increased medical costs, and the estimate would be that would be about $3 million. What's your experience with from New Jersey and/or opinion about looking at a review of this 1980 limit?
Yes, it does seem, just looking at it from the outside, that when you see a date of 1980, that is problematic. We understand the importance of the issue as well. Insurance coverage is about ensuring that in the unlikely event a crash occurs, those involved are all protected. Back to 2014, the FMCSA published an ANPRN, advance notice of proposed rulemaking, with the hopes of collecting information. And what the FMCSA found, unfortunately, and again, this does predate me, was that much of the relevant information that would inform the agency to move forward was proprietary in nature, and we would not have access to it, and it was not being voluntarily provided. We do believe that there's relevant information out there, both in the industry and from the insurance industry, perhaps, but certainly from in the commercial motor vehicle industry. And we would be eager to work with Congress on this should Congress choose to move forward.
So you're saying you can't get the experience data from the industry?
We can't get the
from the insurance industry?
That's correct. Much of it is proprietary, and of course you always have to look at information that's provided to you with a bit of some judgment as to whether it's skewed or not.
I think there's also, though, I think there is some data on how many crashes there are and how expensive they were, and this could be looked at through a study. But I mean, beyond that, I carry $1 million for my own personal vehicle, for liability. And I question whether that's enough. I mean, for a large, heavy truck, $750,000, common sense says, yeah, they're probably not, I mean, sure, crashes are not that likely, but when they do happen, the severity is such that, it's unfortunate, because this is causing a chain of events where now you have someone hires a lawyer because of a fatality or an injury, and the lawyer says, well, it's only $750,000, your medical costs are $3 million. Well, we've got to go after the truck manufacturer, we've got to go after the broker, we've got to go, I mean, we don't have deep pockets here if it isn't a big company and it's an individual driver. So, there's something I think needs to be done here to better protect the public interest.
And Congressman, I agree with you. It deserves some evaluation. We have been, I think, have tried this before my time here, and they felt that they just couldn't have, they didn't have the information on hand to move forward with certainty.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's not worth exploring.
Okay. Well, if you come up with some innovative ideas on how to move forward on some, this issue, I'd love to chat about it. So, and then quickly, just back to detention time, because again, I think this is a root problem for a lot of, there's certainly anecdotal evidence and actual documented evidence about how little many drivers can earn because of their delays, either at ports or and when they're doing piece rate especially, and at delivery points. And I think it's also, the likeliest form of incentive, or shall we say, I don't know if you want it's incentive for someone to violate hours of service, because, hey, I had to sit there 3 hours and now I got to get this other load, and if I don't get that load, then I get blacklisted because I, didn't keep. And so, how are we going to move forward on getting, as the DOT Inspector General said, reliable, accurate, representative data on the frequency and severity of driver detention, which prior to you, your agency concurred with, but it doesn't seem to have been any action.
I agree with you on the detention time problem. We have, again, received, in my personal conversations with industry, from the driver level to companies, owner-operators, this is a problem out there, and it does translate into a safety issue. Currently, the FMCSA will be publishing a request for information from the industry, from drivers, technology vendors, and shippers to better understand the scope and the characteristics of the detention time, because that's something that we're going to need. Regrettably, FMCSA doesn't have any real authority or jurisdiction over this. However, as I said, it is a safety issue because it's an abuse of the drivers, and it's abuse of those operators if they are indeed held up 5-6 hours, and it becomes a safety issue. I believe, in an odd way, the electronic logging devices, which has been somewhat controversial, may provide some ray of light here, not for FMCSA, but for industry, to gather industry-wide information to see, how widespread is this problem, who is abusing this, and if they were to voluntarily provide that information to FMCSA, we would be happy to review it.
All right, I agree with it. It seems like the ELD is purpose-built for this. I mean, it's an app, essentially, and you just have one category in the app which you hit, which is detention time, and while you're sitting there, and then when it's over, you click off, and then the company, the individual, whatever, would have all reams of data over time. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gibbs.